Okay, hi, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and today I'm here to start laying in the designer papers for the Bloom 8.5 by 10.5 mini album. So we're going to start with the inside cover. I've got hopefully everything dry fit and inked, so it should go fairly fast. So we'll do the inside cover, and then we're going to do page 1. Okay, so let's get started. This one's pretty simple. It's just a solid single mat for the inside cover. Once we finish the album, I'll come back and add some embellishments to the inside and back cover. But for now, I'm just going to focus on getting in the base mats. So I can get all that cut paper glued down. It makes making decisions about the embellishments a lot easier too when things are not floating around. Okay, looking good. So I'm going to turn it sideways as usual so I can see 3 out of my 4 edges. And I know that this is the top, so I'm just making sure the orientation of my paper is correct and that my words are going the right direction. And everything looks really good. Just burnishing that in with my hands. And that is our inside front cover. Okay, let's get started on the goodies. Okay, I have a flip piece that goes in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this whole thing first and then set it aside. So this is the cover for it, and then these are the inserts for it. So I'm going to start by doing the cover first. And the front and the back should be the same, so it doesn't really matter which side you put it on. Sorry. And I'm just looking at it. It looks like it fits a little bit better this way. And as you know, paper doesn't always behave, so it's not always square. So I always check both sides, see which way it fits better. Since the black is not directional, I can turn that upside down. And this one's a little challenging in terms of getting a uniform border because of the magnets in it. So there's and the folds that are in the middle. So there's a little bit of a bubble in the middle of this. You just have to work around it. Do the best you can. There we go. So that is in. So that's what the top is going to look like. And now I'm going to open it up and we're going to start laying out the paper that goes on the inside. So I have a right, left, and right. When I do these, because of all the folds in it, each piece is not exactly the same size. So I actually cut these to fit specifically on certain parts of this quadrant, and then I label them. So this is the right hand flip, right side, right hand flip, left side. And then I've got some pinks that go in the middle. And this is left, yeah. I'm just making sure I've got the right set. Okay, now I have a decision to make. So do I want this or this? And I like both, but because we're going to put pictures here, I think I'm going to go with a more basic on the inside, and then I'll add some little tags with some words or something on the bottom. So I'm happy with that. And I did come in with my pick tool, so I'll save a little time. A little bit of excess glue there. Get that off. Okay, got a magnet we want to make sure it's uncovered. Oops, I need to move that over a little. Okay, so that is our first flip fold side. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to do the other side. And then when I'm done, this whole thing gets attached sorry, the whole thing gets applied to page 1. Left, right, and left, left. Okay, let me make sure my orientation. Up, up, and then this is up, so I need to turn this over. Just a tiny bit of excess glue. Okay. Make sure you verify your orientation. Your words are going the right direction. Mine are. Okay. And then these 2 pink ones go down, so we don't have to worry about direction here. So someone asked me about a cut list for the designer mats, and I don't do a cut list for the designer mats because people like different sized borders. So here's a quick tip though, on all my, with the exception of one, but most of my albums or tutorials have, under the More button, have the cut list. So the way you would come up with the mat sizes is you get all your cut list, and then just knock off any of the 1/2 inches that are scored 1/2 inch for a hinge, and that'll give you the base mat size, which would be this, right? Less any hinge. And then once you have that piece of information, all you have to do is back off an 1/8 inch, a 1/4 inch, or whatever size border you want. So again, go to the cut list and then just take off anything after a score line. So if you score at 1/2 inch, take off the 1/2 inch. So if it's 4.5 by 5.5, score at 1/2 inch on the 5, then it's 4.5 by 5 because you're cutting off that 1/2 inch. And that's what you want to base your mat on. So that's the quick way I do it, and you can even print out that the cut list and then just go X out those score marks, and then you'll know what your base, that's basically your cut list for your designer mats, less whatever you want the mat to be. So I like a 1/16 of an inch, so I take an 1/8 of an inch off one side, the height, and an 1/8 of an inch off the width, and that gives me my 1/16 inch border. If you want something a little bit bigger, then you take off, say, a 1/4 inch off the height and a 1/4 inch off the width, and that'll give you an 1/8 inch frame. So it's really a preference, and that's why I don't supply that information, because I think different people like different borders. Some people like a lot bolder frame, and I like to keep mine relatively subtle because I want the paper to show up. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do on page 1 is I'm going to lay down this base mat, which becomes the foundation for this flip fold piece. Okay, so I'm just going to get some glue on it and get it down, and then we'll work on the top half. Okay, we know that's the upside, this is the downside. And that is in. Nice and tight. Okay, that's in. All right, so now that that's in, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Yeah, okay. And this is an interactive piece, so be liberal with your adhesive because it's going to get some action. And I'm just trying to center it up, down, left, right. Actually, I want to move it over a little bit. There we go. Burnish, burnish. I'm going to open the other side. Burnish, burnish. Press through the middle, and it is all is good. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to work on the top piece. The other reason I don't give the dimensions is I like to add a lot of pieces, which are not necessary. You can just do solids for the panel, but I do lots of pieces where I'm adding a 1/2 inch strip, and the cut list would get excessive if I gave the measurements for everything. And it's also, like I said, it's not, it's imperfect. So a lot of my trimming, when I'm piecing, I actually do my trimming as I'm going and dry fitting, because otherwise I wouldn't be happy with the result. If I just did all the trimming like a 1/2 inch every single time, it just wouldn't fit. So I actually cut these pieces when I'm piecing together on a single mat. I actually cut to size. And when I do that, I'm much happier with the result. Okay, so now I'm futzing around a little bit because I'm trying to remember the placement of everything. And this is, yeah, okay, so this is going to be my top piece. And then I've got a 1/2 inch on either side, okay? So I'm going to start by putting in this strip. And I'm going to turn it toward me so I can get a better look at this piece. I'm just about out of glue. Just about. I think I have enough to finish this album. Okay, there we go. Next, I'll take off the tape here and add this piece. Which is just the opposite side of the trim I used. And there are some words, so make sure you've got it turned right side up before you press it down. I need a piece of contrast because the flap doesn't go all the way to the end. So here we go. Gonna wiggle that into place. I'm gonna need a little more glue. There we go. Didn't want to grab there. Okay. So that is one side. And so now I'm going to put the corresponding piece on the second flap. So it's going to go on the side of the second flap so that when this is closed, you'll see the same frame. And I spilled some glue, so I'm going to try to use that. Got a little heavy. Okay, and now this one is going to go right here. And there'll be another strip on this side, so you get the same effect, even though it's layered. Okay, now I'm going to lay down this strip, and then there's a strip on this side too. Okay. And these strips, just so you know, are 1/2 inch each. So that's the size I use. I don't like to go much smaller than that if I can avoid it, because they get really hard to handle and easy to lose. They start to look like trash, not part of the design when they're laying around on your table. It'd be very easy to throw them away. Okay, now the centerpiece is going to be these stripes. And I think I'm going to take just a little bit off. See if that did anything. I want a little bit of a black strip between the purple and the green. A little more. I think that'll do it. Yeah, I like that look better. Okay, and I have my ink here, so I'm going to re-ink the side that I just trimmed. Okay. Okay, let's get it down. And then for either side I have these, and I can do solid green or I can do the pattern. And I think I like the solid because I'm gonna put some embellishments, some stickers or cutouts or something on the edges to decorate these two pieces. So I'm gonna double check that. Dry fit. It looks good, so. Oh my gosh, I don't think I pushed the record button. Oh yes I did, thank God. It's one of those days. I'm going to shift everything so I can get a good look at the edges. Beautiful. All right. Okay, so let's go over that. Okay, so there's the, there it goes like that. Sorry, the magnets were put in this way. So there's the top, the second page, then I open it up to the center, and then here we've got the flip open one way and flip the other way. And I noticed that my top paper wants to bow a little bit, and part of that's because of the glue. So I'm just bending it a little bit so that it'll lay flat. There we go. And all you need to do is just pick up the center and arch it a little bit, and now it looks nice and flat. Okay, so that's the end of page 1. Now on to page 2. Set these aside. Okay, so page 2 is going to have a nice strip right next to I think I gotta trim that right next to the spine. Actually, no, it's right. It's right. Sure doesn't seem like it though. Very tight. Okay, right next to the spine, and that's because this page doesn't go all the way to the spine. So we'll have a little decorative edge on both sides right next to the spine. And I'm going to lay down that piece right now because it's the kind of thing I will misplace or accidentally throw away. And you don't have to do a contrasting piece here. You can just, this could be one large mat all the way to the edge. But I kind of like it. Breaks things up a little bit. And it also provides some unity between the two pages. And this is one of the stripes off the Patterns and Solids. And of course, because this is 10 inches, you have to use the 12 by 12. Okay, so I'm just making sure it's on the edge and then away from the actual hinge so it doesn't interfere with the operation of the page. When I open and close it, it does not. Works perfectly. Looks good. These are some old notes I'll remove. Okay, now I've got two large pieces that go inside, and I can't remember which way they go. I think I did it this way, yeah, with the words on the outside, the pink on the inside. And I'm going to go ahead and get the this large outside one laid down. Looks good. Okay. I was just double checking the fit before I glue it down. If you're fairly advanced, glue is a great way to go. It speeds things up, and it's economical, and it's very reliable as well. But if you're not as advanced and you tend to make mistakes or you're afraid, use your tape, because if you tape your panels down, there's a product called Undo, and it will take the tack off your tape so that you can remove a panel and either replace it with a different one entirely or just reposition it. I found that once if you use the unglue and you let the papers dry after you remove them, you can reuse them. It doesn't leave any marks on the paper. So just a tip. When I first started making albums, I only used tape for that reason, because you can redo things. Glue is not so forgiving. If you're not happy with it, you pretty much have to put something on top of it or start over. But you can't take it off. It will destroy the paper under it. Okay, so now the next piece goes here, and it's actually a little bit too big, so I'm going to trim this down real quick. And it doesn't matter how much prepping I do, I always wind up trimming in front of you guys, because I don't know. I guess partly because I do a lot of my prep in a not so well lit area. Okay, now it should fit. And I think I also based it on a 1/2 inch, and this is in order to use the stripe that came in the pattern. It's actually a little bit bigger than the 1/2 inch, so it didn't quite fit the same as I expected. I need to take a sliver off that too. Okay, we'll put those sides. There we go. Right on. And these two pages look very simple, but I plan to adorn them with some side pockets and ephemera cards. So don't worry, it will be very pretty when we're done. Okay, and like I said, I'll wind up doing something in the corners so that we can stash some ephemera cards here. So that's the inside of page 2. And now the upper flaps. We've got a pocket down here, which is going to have 2 pieces on it, a green and a strip, like so. And there's a lot of pieces going on here. There's a large piece that goes in here. And then, let's see, this goes on here, page 2, page 3, and then I had this on the inside, yeah. And then I have these 2 strips, which came from the 8x8, and it's just, there's a cut apart page, and it's it's part of the cut aparts. Again, these are from the 8x8, so it's a much smaller scale, closer to a 1/2 inch than the cut aparts on the 12x12. So that's going to go like so. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this in. Actually, I'll go ahead and do the pocket first, since that's pretty straightforward. Okay, and then we have a contrasting strip right above it. Shoot, I got glue on there. Okay, so there's our pocket, a little excess glue. Okay, very good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this strip in, and then I'll add this piece and then the following strip on top, like so. Now I have to think about, what do I want? Yeah, I think I want the happiness on top, so I'll put the butterflies on the bottom. And because I've got strips on the top and bottom, I'm going to do those first and then figure out how this fits in between. Because if it doesn't, then I want to trim it before I put it down. And I know that I don't want to trim these because if I do, I'll be cutting off part of the pattern. So that's the logic there. And I'm going to turn the book over so I can get this edge near to me. Here we go. So I know it needs to go in like that. Okay, great. Now that's in. Now I'm going to turn it back around and we're going to figure out where to set the centerpiece. And it looks like it's cut just right, so all I have to do is center it between these two pieces. This is where you have to be patient, because if it didn't, then you stop and you trim, and you stop and you measure, and you stop and you trim, and there's just, that's just part of it. I do a lot of that offline, so you guys don't see it. So don't be surprised or feel like you're doing something wrong if you're stopping and trimming along the way, because that's just part of it. I just really minimize how much of that you guys see. I might not get to the end of the page before I run out. Barely. Just barely. Back to what was the cover. That does not fit. So this was it. There we go. That makes sense. There's my cover. And it's trimmed and ready. So let's get that on. Okay, I'm looking for the orientation of the words. And that all looks good. Okay. Okay, and I think this is what I've planned here and here. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue those two down. That's the left and right flaps. Yeah. I'm disappointed, but I'm going to have to stop because I am out of glue. But I can get a new bottle and be right back. I got my second bottle of glue. Sorry about that, I should have planned ahead. It's just getting warm enough to, we should start shipping our art glitter glue soon. If you're on the west, we can start shipping it now. If you're further east and north, we have to wait until the weather warms up. We're not supposed to ship the product if the temperatures get below 40 degrees per the manufacturing specifications. It changes something in the glue, so just FYI, if you're on the east or up north, that may be what's delaying availability of the product to you. But it won't be long, won't be long. Days are getting warmer and longer. All right. There we go. And then I'm just going to flip it so the banner or the strip will be on the bottom on the right hand side. Just to give it a little interest, make it a little different. Okay, I'm going to switch that. Okay. So I'll start by putting the strip down on the bottom. Give myself a contrast sheet. Yeah. Oh, this flows so much better. A brand new bottle. As usual, if you click the More button, you'll get to the cut list. In addition to the cut list, there'll be a supply list or material list that will identify all of the materials used in the designer aspect of the book. I don't go over the actual cardstock itself, but you'll need, you know, a pack of, I start with a pack of 50 8.5 by 11 black cardstock pieces. That's just my go-to number. And there's lots of flaps in this one, so you might, I think I used close to 40. And then two 12 by 12 to cover the actual album. So it doesn't give me the same black strip here that I have on the other page, so I'm just going to trim a smidge off. And I can see why it's not square. All right. Let's see how that does. Yeah, there it is. Okay, a little ink and we're good to go. Great. Okay, so there it is. So there's the left and right flap. And we've got the top piece in. Now we need to add this piece. And honestly, I don't remember which side I picked. I hate it when I do that. I should label them. I know I say it every time, but I like this right now, so this is what I'm going to go with. And I'm double checking all the edges, and it looks very even. So with that, I'm going to take my tape off and lay it down. get it all? Let's see. And then we still have the inside to go ahead and put down. Well, that doesn't make sense, does it? I don't like that. But I think that's what I trimmed out. So I'm going to put this down, and then I think I'm going to, actually it's a little too short, so I am actually going to have to trim a new piece for these two sections because they're both too short, unless I trimmed it. No, I didn't. Okay, I need to trim these two pieces out. So with that, I'm going to stop right here, and I will go trim out a couple of pieces for this, and I'll come back and finish that up. All right, I trimmed out a couple of pieces, and I'm ready to lay them down, and this will finish up page 2. So I'm going to start by laying down this piece here, which is already trimmed to fit. So I'm going to turn the book over, get those corners next to me as usual down here. I'm going to need to make sure I turn my paper over because it's directional. Okay. Just making sure that it's actually out of the hinge. It's very tight. Yes, okay. Looks good. Excess glue. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over and take care of that part. Here we go. I'm going to apply the banner first, or the strip first, because then I can decide how far I tuck this inside the pocket to get the desired look I'm after. And then this pattern has some words, so I'm just making sure they're pointed in the right direction. And, okay, let me see if I can't slide this in. And I can. Good. Perfect. All right. Lovely. Okay, let me get some glue on this. That is the end of page 2. So I'm kind of liking this 2 pages per video. So give me some feedback. I don't like to go over an hour if I can avoid it. And in fact, I'd like to get it down to 40 minutes or so because I think it's very long. So I'm going to try a couple of different things to squeeze some of the time out of the format. One of them might be to try to fast forward through some of the gluing part. So I'll try my best not to be talking or giving tips, sharing tips during those times, so it makes it easy for me to fast forward and not have to worry about losing any continuity in terms of what I'm saying. So I'll give that a try. In fact, in this video, I was trying to be very quiet during some of the gluing process just for that reason. So hopefully I'll be able to accomplish that, and I'd like to hear your feedback. So that's that. So left, right, and up, down. And then to keep this whole piece in place, we will have a piece of ephemera that fits in there. I don't have that done yet, but as we come to the end, I'll add those pieces. Thanks everybody for watching. This is Daphne from Scrap and Create, and this is a Graphic 45 Bloom 8.5 by 10.5 album.